Oh, good Lord, my garage is a mess. What's going on, folks? Renegade here. Yes, my garage is a disaster area right now. Now, the reason for that is I've been doing a lot of different projects. For one, I was just working on the pergola outside of my house, kind of rebuilding it. Obviously, I've got all sorts of house stuff in here since this is my one and only garage. Yeah, so like I've got some screens sitting here because I was going through screens, replacing them, putting them back, whatever. Loads of fun living in a house that has been kind of left alone for many years. But we're gonna leave that all be for today. Today, I want to talk to you about my black Volvo, my 87 Lucille. Now, I love my blue car, I love my blue Volvo, and don't let her hear you say this, but my 87 is a very special car to me. That is truly my car. That is the car that I bought back in 2005 when I got my license. And it's amazing because the 91, my blue one, and my 87 aren't much different. They're pretty much the same car, just with a couple different things in the electronic system. But for whatever reason, the black one just feels better. Maybe it's because I'm a firm believer that cars have souls, and that one and I just seem to be more compatible. Maybe it's something else, I don't know. But as comfortable as both are for me to drive, it's like putting on a pair of blue jeans when you get in the car. Comfortable. But when I get into my black car, it's like putting on your favorite pair of blue jeans. It just feels right. But unfortunately, I haven't been driving that car for a while. And the reason was because I'm in the middle of this big project, which is actually the lead up to another big project. I'll talk about that one more later. There might be a clue hiding around here that you might see or you might have already seen. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So, we're talking about my black car. There's something to talk about a little closer. Now you'll notice I got two engines here. Obviously transmission, that we already know about. That's the M47 5-speed manual gearbox that has been in my 87. That is the 87 motor that has been in my car. This is a 93. Now if you notice, they look the same. Reason is, they are the same engine, basically. These are both B230F engines. This one from 93, that one from 87. In terms of differences between these engines, there's not much of one. You see, the 87 with that head on it is an 8-valve, 4-cylinder, 2.3 liter engine. This engine with this head on it is a 4-cylinder, 8-valve, 2.3 liter engine. Same thing. They have the same displacement, they have the same horsepower, the whole 9 yards. Differences between these engines. This 93 engine has 13 millimeter piston connecting rods. That 87 has 11 millimeter connecting rods. That's the width, the side. I don't have a piston lying about, so I can't show you. But the connecting rod is the part, for those of you who don't know, that go from the top of the piston jug to the crankshaft itself. And what attaches or connects the piston jug to the crankshaft. And if you're thinking about like a drawing of a piston, you always see it coming down and it flares out for the hole that the crankshaft would go in. Well, if you were to turn that to the side, that right there is the thickness. Like I said, these are 13 mil, those are 11 mil. So they're a little stronger, a little hardier. There's also a difference in the thrust bearing position. On my 87 motor, the thrust bearing sits on the third, around the third bearing. And they're basically just these little hook-shaped washers. This one, they're actually built into the number 5 bearing, and that's the bearing that the crankshaft sits in, basically in the actual engine. Different than your connecting rod bearings. And what this does, they found, is that it creates a better balance for the crankshaft over time and over wear. See, because when that bearing, or when that washer rather, wears, it can cause an unbalance of your crankshaft. And what happens then is it can put too much torque and load on your number 1 connecting rod. And when that goes, well, Mr. Kool-Aid Man comes to visit your engine. Go ahead. Ask me how I know. Now, 87 motor is good with having, it has an oil leak. There's a big oil leak. I have yet to really investigate where it's coming from, but I have a couple ideas where it's coming from. But I have a bigger project that I wanted to swap out these engines for. This is why now we're going with the 93 engine. And before anybody says, oh, you should get a different head for it. Yeah, I'd love to. However, I only have the 530 heads. I don't have a 531 head lying around. I don't have a dual overhead cam head lying around. I wish I did, but I don't. Now, obviously, I rebuilt this in my downtime away from the camera. I did it because I just needed something to do to focus my brain. I didn't want to have to do the extra focusing of setting up shots and explaining what all I was doing in the whole 9 yards. There's enough videos of those online, don't you think? But what I will say is that this engine has been rebuilt to Volvo schematics. I used the original pistons and connecting rods. Everything in here is stock, with the exception of in the head. Some of you might remember that at one point I did say that I had an IPD VX Street Performance Cam in my 87. Well, if you notice, there's no camshaft in there. And that's because I took it out and I put it in this one. I figured, why not? It's a good camshaft. I'm going to want it in my car regardless. So it went in here. A couple other little minor things that I did is I did swap all my accessory bushings with the polyurethane ones I also got from IPD. They're a stiffer bushing, so they're gonna last longer, which is gonna be great. And since I already have everything off, I might as well do it now. It's way easier to change these things when they're not tucked into the car. If you're already at a point where your engine's out of your car, replace all your bushings and everything. It's good. Also, obviously, having torn apart this engine, I replaced all the gaskets. They're all good. I painted the engine, made it look a little nicer. Whole 9 yards. But realistically, what's the difference that I need to concern myself about when it comes to this year change? There's really only two. There's only really two differences in these two motors that you have to think about if you're going to be running them for a long period of time. And one of them is a minor one. So I seem to have misplaced the part I was looking for. But on the side of my engine, right here, this is an oil separator box. Now this is my 87 motor. You can tell because it's dirty. This is an oil separator box. Connects to your oil pickup tube, and right here is the orifice for the tube that would come up, and your flame trap would be in it. Now, for whatever reason, later models, you'll notice the changeover when the LH 2.4 ignition system came in. So 89, I believe, started using a bigger box, taller. And Why, I'm not entirely sure. To be perfectly honest with you, I have no idea why they went with a taller breather box, separator box, whatever. But I can tell you that when you have that taller box on your car, it actually repositions where your flame trap is, and your flame trap ends up sitting right between the tubes of your intake manifold. And let me just tell you guys, having worked on LH 2.4 and working on 2.1 ignition system 240s, the shorter air box is separator box is way easier because your flame trap is sitting lower. It's not in your intake, which makes it very, very difficult to put the hose on. See, if you have one of the shorter ones, you can actually snake your arm in under the intake and get to the flame trap, whereas you're trying to like weasel and shove on top and through. And so I'm going to use a shorter box. I'm going to use the shorter oil separator box on this engine here, but I have a brand new one that I'm going to put in. Now, obviously, I can't put it on right now because I need to lift the engine up so that I can get the new oil tube in, because it's plastic, or rubber rather, and I don't want it to crimp and possibly break sitting this close to the floor. Other minor thing, this right here is the knock sensor from the 2.4 and 3.1 ignition system. I have over here the knock sensor for the 2.1 ignition system. So I'm going to pull this out, I'm going to put it in this engine. It's the exact same thread for this bolt as the sensor bolt, so no big deal there. And then the only other thing I really had to worry about is the fact that, and this is the minor thing, this is me being an anal retentive nutso. Because I work on my car, which means I go and I buy the parts for my car. Now, you go to AutoZone or Advance, Napa, you go in and they ask you, what are you working on? If I'm working on parts for my car, the answer is I'm working on an 87 Volvo 245 DL. What are the chances that I'm going to always, and that includes if I'm tired or if I'm just feeling frazzled, always going to remember that this is not an 87 motor. This is a 93 motor. I'm probably going to remember. But just on the off chance it is, I want to make this as simple as possible for me to work on and to order parts for. This is a crankshaft sprocket from my 87 motor. See the shape of the teeth? This is, I think it's the distributor pulley, distributor camshaft pulley from my 93. See the shape of the teeth? The 93 engines, and I don't know why, but the 93 engines have round tooth timing belts compared to the square tooth of yesteryear. So, a little tip for you guys, if you're using a 93 engine and you're putting it in your older car, swap all your sprockets from your 93 and your older one. This way, when you put everything in there, you're still using the same year timing belt when you need to replace it. Yes, I would probably remember down the road that yes, I'm working on a 93 engine in my 87 car, so order the 93 timing belt. But see, I'm already messing it up just talking about it. It's just way easier just to order the 87 timing belt for my 87 car and have it work. It's the same tooth, or I shouldn't say that, it's the same spacing, the whole 9 yards. The only difference is the teeth. You need the square teeth for older years, round tooth for 93. Just swap the sprockets and make it the same. That's what I did. So now, this engine is pretty much ready to go. I just have to take it out to the car, and I have to bolt the, well, I do have to bolt the flywheel and clutch back on. That's not on only because it's sitting on the ground. I'll bolt that back on, bolt the transmission back on, and I can put the whole car back into, or put the whole engine rather, yeah, put the whole car back in the engine. That makes sense. I can put the whole engine back into the car and then rewire it and everything like that, and we'll be good to go. And by rewire it, I just mean hook it all back up and replumb the cooling lines and all that fun jazz. Yeah. Obviously you might notice some things, like obviously I put a brand new water pump on. It's all shiny and pretty. Everything else is the same, really. But I'm looking forward to this. And like I said, this is one necessary step for a much bigger project. One that I've been wanting to do for many years. And I'm looking forward to it. I really am. So my grand plan here is I'm going to put this engine back into my car, go through the break-in period, and then we can worry about the big project. We'll see what that is down the road. But I figured I'd give you guys a little update as to what all is going on. Like I said, this has been a project I've been working on a little bit here, a little bit there, because I'm working on a whole bunch of other projects. Unfortunately, I can't dedicate a ton of time to one straight shot of this stuff, but I got a lot on my plate. I said, working on the cars, working on the motorcycles slowly here and there, working on the house, plus a 9-to-5 job. It's a lot. But I wanted to give you an update that this is what's going on. This is why I have two engines in my garage. Now, I'm sure some people are hearing this and they're thinking, Renegade, what are you going to do with that 87 motor when you're done putting this one in? Same thing I did with this one. I'm going to put it in storage. Because you never know down the road when you're going to need or want another engine. So, that's what I'm going to do. That 87 motor is going to go into storage when this 93 engine goes into the car. I can't wait to be done with this project because I do miss driving my black car. So it just feels better. It feels like the right car to be driving, and I do miss driving a manual transmission. My blue car is an automatic. Yeah, I prefer the manual. We'll get there though. So this is just a quick update. Hope everything has been alright in your neck of the woods. Like I said, I've been holding off making a lot of videos just because I've been busy. Is what it is, but stuff is still being worked on and videos are being made, and yeah. So hopefully it won't be too long until I'm back with another video. Until then, y'all keep rocking and rolling. I'm gonna keep taking care of business. See you in the next one.